Alrighty, guys, we are 3-0 in our last three Major League Baseball tier package bets on my website. But before we get into some more of that, just want to take a quick time out and welcome you to the video here today for Thursday, September 22nd, 2022. My name is Brock Page, and I've been doing sports picks for free right here on YouTube since 2016. I also sell my personal sports bets on patreon.com/BrockPage. One of the packages that I offer is called the Major League Baseball Tier Package Bet. And once again, guys, I'm 3-0 in my last three bets in that package. And just remember, guys, if you sign up for that membership here today, you're going to get access to that package every single day all the way until October 1st. And as an added bonus here, guys, if you join that MLB tier membership here today, you're going to get full access to all my cheaper memberships absolutely free. And once again, guys, the link for that bet is in the description section below. I currently have over 645 members who are signed up and active on my website right now. With that, guys, let's go ahead and dive into some free content. We're going to take a look at the Angels taking on the Rangers, 2:05 Eastern first pitch. Now, Texas is minus 155, totals 8 runs. Martin Perez for Texas, Michael Lorenzen for Los Angeles. Now, Lorenzen's run into some trouble with giving up runs. He's got a 4.74 ERA and a 1.33 whip. This A's lineup has also been terrible hitting the baseball on the road. They're in the bottom 5 in hits per contest away from home. They're also facing Martin Perez here today, who's been really good this season. Perez actually has a dozen wins on the year, along with an ERA in the 2s. Now, the lefty's also got himself well over 150 strikeouts. When it comes to hitting the baseball, the Rangers continue to be a legit threat hitting the long ball. These guys are in the top 10 in home runs, and they're led by Corey Seager, who's got 31 bombs on the year. Now, when it comes to the total in this one, the Rangers did see their last 3 straight Perez starts fall under the number. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Texas, they've also held Los Angeles to just 3.7 runs a game in their last 10 head-to-head meetings. I'm going to lean toward the Rangers, minus 155, under 8 runs. Next ball game, Twins, Royals, 2:10 p.m. East. Minnesota's minus $1.25, totals 8. Josh Winder for the Twins, Johnny Heasley for Kansas City. Now Heasley's just 3-8 on the year with an ERA in the 5s. The Royals have also had a tough time scoring against Minnesota recently. They're actually averaging less than 2.8 runs a game in their last 10 meetings with the Twins. And speaking of Minnesota, they're led by Luis Arias, who's hitting .313 at the plate. He's actually 6th in the majors in that batting average category. Meanwhile, teammate Byron Buxton, he's hit a club best 28 homers on the year. Now, this Minnesota pitching staff, they've done a nice job keeping runners off the base paths. They're currently in the top 10 in fewest road hits allowed. When it comes to the total in this one, 5 out of Minnesota's last 7 road games stayed under the total. Meanwhile, Kansas City went 60% to the under in their last 10 at any location. I'm going to lean toward the Twins, minus $1.25, under 8. Next ball game, little NL West action. I'm talking about the Giants at the Rockies. That's going to be a 3:10 Eastern first pitch in Denver. San Francisco's the $1.20 favorite on the road, totals 11.5. John Brebbia for San Francisco, Jose Urena for Colorado. And even though Colorado's, Urena and Colorado, they've struggled over the past few games. I'll tell you this much, the Rockies still have a winning record at Coors Field, and they lead the majors in home scoring. C.J. Cron's got a team-best 101 runs batted in. He's actually 5th in the bigs in that category. Now they're facing a Giants team who has a pretty tough time getting on base themselves. These guys are in the bottom 10 in hits per game on the road. And speaking of road games, the Giants have a win percentage of just .354 against the AL West away from home. Now, when it comes to the numbers, San Fran went 61% to the over in their divisional road games this year. They also saw 4 out of their last 7 John Brebbia starts get over the line. I'm going to lean toward Colorado plus $1 over 11.5. Next bowl game, it is going to be Mariners taking on the Athletics, 337 East. Seattle's minus 230, total 7. George Kirby for the M's, Adrian Martinez for Oakland. Now, Martinez has an ERA of 5.77, along with a 1.51 whip. And even if he does end up pitching well here today, he's probably not going to get the run support he needs. Oakland's got the lowest team batting average in the majors right now. They're also facing George Kirby here today, who's 7-4 with an ERA in the 2s. Now, the curb stopper also has nearly 125 strikeouts, and he averages over a strikeout an inning. Now, hitting-wise, the Mariners have done a real nice job producing runs on the road. These guys are in the top 10 in runs per contest while traveling. Eugenio Suarez, he hit 31 bombs on the year and has 84 ribbies. And when it comes to the total, Seattle's 21-17 to the over in their divisional road games. Meanwhile, Oakland saw overs in 6 out of their last 10 outings. I'm going to lean towards Seattle minus 1.5, over 7. Next ball game, it is going to be Cards, Pods, 4:10 p.m. East. San Diego's minus 155, totals 8. Joe Musgrove for San Diego, Jack Flaherty for St. Louis. And even though Flaherty's numbers haven't been great, the Cards got the W in his last 2 starts. And most of that is thanks to timely hitting. These guys are in the top 5 in the league in OPS at the plate. Paul Goldschmidt leads, well, he's in the top 5 in the league in batting average, RBI, and OPS. Now, St. Louis, they're facing a Pods team who's had significant issues putting runners across the plate at home. These guys are currently in the bottom 5 in home scoring, and they're also in the bottom 3 in home hits. And speaking of scoring, 7 out of San Diego's last 10 outings fell under the line. Meanwhile, St. Louis went 8-2 to the under in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the St. Louis Cardinals plus 1.5, under 8. Next ball game, it is going to be Cubs at the Pirates, 6:35 East. Now, Pittsburgh is actually the $1.20 favorite in the Steel City. Total 7.5 runs. Mitch Keller for the Pirates, Hayden Wesneski for Chicago. And even though Hayden's got just 15-plus innings under his belt, he certainly made the most of them for Chicago. He's looked pretty good in that limited span. He's got 18 strikeouts already and a .70 whip. Meanwhile, as a team, the Cubs got the W in 6 out of their last 9. And they've had an easy time scoring against Pittsburgh. They're averaging nearly 5.5 runs a game in their last 10 meetings with the Buccos. They're also led by Nico Horner, who's hitting nearly 300 at the plate. Now, the Cubs are facing Mitch Keller on the other side of things, and I'll tell you what, Keller has not been great. The righty's just 5-11 on the year with a 1.40 whip. Now, offensively, with the bats, this is pretty much the worst lineup of hitters in the National League. They're averaging only 3.6 runs a game for the year, and they're dead last in team batting average in the National League. Now, total-wise, oddly enough, 6 out of Pittsburgh's last 10 ball games did get over the number. They're also 62% to the over against NL Central opponents at PNC Park. I'm going to lean toward the Cubs plus $1, over 7.5. Next ball game, little NL Central action. I'm talking about the Brewers at the Reds, 6:40 p.m. East. Milwaukee's minus 160, total 7.5. Brandon Woodruff for Milwaukee, Hunter Green for Cincinnati. Now, Green's been pretty bad this season. He's got 12 losses on the year with an ERA of 4.97. Meanwhile, hitting-wise, the Reds have had problems with strikeouts at the plate. They're in the bottom 5 in home strikeouts per game. They're also facing Brandon Woodruff here today on the mound. And he's got over 150 strikeouts on the year. Now, Woodruff's also got 11 wins on the season and an ERA in the low twos. Now, this Milwaukee lineup, they're also very capable of hitting the long ball. These guys are in the top 3 in the bigs right now in homers. And of course, they're led by Rowdy Tellez, who has 32 dingers on the year. Now, total-wise, Milwaukee saw overs in 6 out of their last 10 outings. They're also 66% to the over against the NL Central on the road. I'm going to lean toward Milwaukee minus 160, over 7.5. Next ball game, little AL East action. I'm talking about the Blue Jays at the Rays, and that's going to be a 6:40 Eastern first pitch in Florida. Toronto's minus $1.25 on the road, total 7.5 runs. Jose Barrios for the Blue Jays, JT Chargois for Tampa Bay. And even though JT's got some really good numbers, he's only got 16 1/3 innings of work under his belt this year, so experience certainly a factor. Meanwhile, as a team, the Rays are on a 3-game skid, and they also dropped 6 out of their last 9. Now, the Rays have had significant problems at the dish this season. They're in the bottom 10 in OPS, and they're scoring fewer runs a game than most clubs in the American League. They're also facing Jose Barrios, who's got 11 wins on this season and over 125 strikeouts. And even if Barrios gets knocked around, he's backed by a Toronto lineup who can outscore anyone. These guys actually have the highest team batting average in the majors. Vlad Guerrero Jr., he's leading the squad with 30 home runs. Meanwhile, Bo Bichette, he's got a team-best 89 ribbies. When it comes to the total, 4 out of Barrios' last 7 starts did fall under the number. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay went 5-1 to the under in their last 6 at the Trop. I'm going to lean toward Toronto minus $1.25, under 7.5. Next matchup I have for you, it is going to be Astros taking on the Orioles, 7:05 Eastern first pitch. Houston's minus 185, total 7. Justin Verlander for Houston, Kyle Bradish for Baltimore. Now, Bradish is just 3-7 on the year with an ERA in the 5s. The O's have also lost 4 out of their last 5 at home, and they're giving up just about 5 runs a game to Houston in their last 10 meetings. And speaking of the Astros, their lineup's been tough to pitch against. These guys are actually in the top 10 in scoring, and they're hitting more home runs a game than most clubs in the American League. Yordan Alvarez, he's 3rd in the majors right now in homers with 37. He's also 2nd in the bigs right now in OPS. When it comes to the starting pitching, well, I'll tell you what, Justin Verlander, once again, he's been unhittable this year. It seems like he's unhittable every year. This might be like the best pitcher to ever do it. He's unreal. He's 17-3 with an ERA of 1.78. Guy's nearly, is he 40 yet? If he's not, he's almost there. I think he might have turned 40 this year, but if he's not in his 40s, he's awful close, and it doesn't matter. The guy just continues to mow people down. Once again, 17-3 record, 1.78 ERA. When it comes to the total, Houston went 11-2 to the under in their last 13 Verlander starts. No real surprise there. Meanwhile, Baltimore saw 4 out of their last 6 Bradish starts fall under the line. I'm going to lean toward Houston minus 185, under 7. Next ball game, Red Sox, Yankees, 7:15 East. Now, the Yankees are minus 160, totals 8 runs. Jameson Taillon for New York, Michael Wacha for Boston. Now, we actually saw a 10-cent move toward Boston and the under in this one. The Yankees were minus 170 down to 160. Total was 8.5 down to 8. And if you want to see whether I'm making on a play on the total money line or run line in this one, this game's being featured as my Major League Baseball tier package bet on my website. And once again, guys, I'm 3-0 in my last 3 bets in that package. And the link for that bet is in the description section below. And once again, guys, if you sign up for my MLB tier package bet here today, you're going to get access to that membership every single day all the way until October 1st. And as an added bonus, you're also going to get access to all the cheaper memberships on my site absolutely free. They're going to be included with your purchase. Next game, NL East. Braves, Phillies, 7:15 East. Atlanta -140, total 7.5. Max Fried for the Braves, Rangers Suarez for Philadelphia. And even though Rangers having a solid season, he has run into some control issues. He's actually walked over 50 batters this year and has a whip of 1.30. Meanwhile, as a team, the Phillies dropped 5 out of their last 6 ball games. And they've had a tough time cashing in on the run line at home. These guys are covering in just 40% of their divisional contests at Citizens Bank Park. They're also facing Max Fried, who's been dominant on the bump this year for Atlanta. Fried's 13-6 with an ERA in the 2s and a 1.02 whip. Meanwhile, as a team, the Braves won 5 out of their last 6. And they've been pretty dominant in divisional play. They have a .635 win percentage against NL East opponents. Austin Riley leads the offensive charge with 37 homers and 92 ribbies. He's actually third in the majors in that home run category. When it comes to the total, Atlanta's gone 23-6 to the over against the NL East on the road. Meanwhile, Philadelphia saw 3 out of their last 4 at Citizens Bank Park get over the total as well. I'm going to lean toward Atlanta -140, over 7.5. Next ball game, Guardians, White Sox, 8:10 p.m. East. Cleveland's -135, total 7. Shane Bieber for Cleveland, Johnny Cueto for Chicago. And even though Cueto has pitched well, he comes into today's contest with a losing 7-8 record. Now, the White Sox also play their worst baseball at Guaranteed Rate Field. They currently have a losing record at home, and they're also in the bottom 10 in home runs. Now, they're facing Shane Bieber on the mound here today, who's just 16 strikeouts shy of 200 for the season. Biebs also has 11 wins and a .283 ERA. And of course, hitting-wise, the Guardians actually end up doing most of their damage on the road. These guys are currently in the top 10 in scoring away from home. And they're also led by Jose Ramirez, who's third in the bigs with 115 runs batted in. Now, when it comes to the total, 6 out of Cleveland's last 10 outings got over the number. Meanwhile, Chicago went 60% to the over in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward Cleveland -135, over 7. And with that, we're going to jump into our next and final breakdown for the video. It is going to be a little NL West action. I'm talking about the Diamondbacks at the Dodgers, 10:10 Eastern first pitch. The LA Dodgers are the $2.20 favorite at home, total 7 runs. Julio Urias for Los Angeles, Zach Gallen for Arizona. And even though Gallen's been stellar this season, he's somehow not the best pitcher on the mound here today. Meanwhile, as a team, the D-backs dropped 5 out of their last 7. And they have a tough time getting on base on the road. Arizona's currently in the bottom 5 in road hits per game. They're also facing Julio Urias, who's got 17 wins on the season and a stingy .95 whip. Meanwhile, hitting-wise, nobody does it better than the Dodgers. These guys lead the league in team OPS, and they're also averaging more runs a game than any other club in the majors. Freddie Freeman's hitting a league best 320. Is it 320? 330 at the plate. Freddie Freeman, 330 at the plate. League best. Nobody's doing it better. Freeman's also in the top 10 in RBI and OPS. Meanwhile, Mookie Betts, he's in the top 10 in the league in homers and OPS as well. When it comes to the total, oddly enough, 8 out of LA's last 10 ball games fell under the number. Meanwhile, Arizona went 80% to the under in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the LA Dodgers -1.5, under 7. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Powered to you by my website at patreon.com/BrockPage. I like Texas -155, under 8. Minnesota -$1.25, under 8 runs. Colorado +$1, over 11.5. Seattle -1.5, over 7. St. Louis +1.5, under 8. Chicago Cubs +$1, over 7.5. Milwaukee -160, over 7.5 runs. Toronto minus $1.25, under 7.5. Houston minus 185, under 7. Now, I can't give you a free pick in the Boston-New York Yankees game. That's being featured as my MLB tier package bet on my website. I like Atlanta minus 140, over 7.5. Give me Cleveland minus 135, over 7. With my next and final free pick for the video, I'm going to lean toward the Dodgers minus 1.5, under 7. With that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my website. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. Actually just started watching with my wife last night. Dahmer, new series on Netflix. We got done the first episode, and I'll tell you, my heart was pumping, man. That first scene was really, really intense. Man, I was nervous. My heart was going. So this is going to be a really good series. I don't know if you guys ever seen interviews with Jeffrey Dahmer. Incredibly normal guy. Well, obviously not normal, but incredibly normal conversationalist. Very matter of fact. Very strange. But man, what an evil person. But anyway, we got done episode 1. Listen, I know the story. I kind of follow these sociopath serial killers, and actually I know a lot of people in my personal life who have very similar tendencies to these weirdos, and so I know what's going to happen, but darn, I gotta watch, because stuff like that is very, very interesting. So I'll keep you, I guess I won't keep you posted because I don't want to give any spoilers, but anyway, that's what's going on in my life right now. We are watching Dahmer, and then I'm also watching, it's a documentary on Netflix. It's about 9/11 and terrorism. I forget what it's called, but I'm sure it has both of those words in the title. Very interesting there. I mean, it's hard to believe that, like, I lived through all of that. Incredibly interesting. But anyway, that's what I'm watching. Let me know what you're watching in the comments section below. But anyway, guys, won't be watching that tonight. I'll be watching some NFL football. And I'll be flipping through NFL and college. So if I end up watching that mindless drivel, that will be later at night. That'll be close to midnight. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me. Gotta thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Thursday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.